Happy Thursday, everybody. It's Jim. It's Amadeus. Glad to hear that Amadeus is feeling better. Good to have you in the house today, buddy.
Yeah, it's good to be back. It's a bit of a slow week just because of the week. Obviously, it's the Pro Bowl week,
Hey,
so 2 weeks before the big game. But yeah,
here we go. Um, there's some things, sporting events in this country that we kind of really honor and enjoy. One of them is being played this week out in Monterey on the Monterey Peninsula. It's about 123 or so miles south of San Francisco. And it's the AT&T Pro-Am, except for it's not. Okay? Here's the deal. Since 1939 up until last year, it was played on 3 courses on the Monterey Peninsula. Okay? It's all under Pebble Beach, the auspices of Pebble Beach Country Club. And it was started as the Bing Crosby Classic. Back in the day, it was, stars lent their names to golf tournaments. And Bing Crosby and Bob Hope, who were 2 avid golfers, had the 2 biggest events. One was Crosby's up at Pebble Beach, and the other was the Desert Classic, which is down in Palm Springs, which was Bob Hope's. Well, over the years, we've gotten to see guys like Clint Eastwood and more recently Bill Murray and some outstanding athletes, who would come out, whether it be baseball players or football players, who would play in the tournament. And so we got to see the professionals and the amateurs play together. But this year, not so much. They went from 156 participants, with amateurs being involved, to 80 participants. Now, the hook was, well, we got 47 of the top 50 golfers in the world playing here, but I don't know. To me, it was kind of fun to watch some of those guys who, you knew from either the sports world or for the entertainment world to play, to just be part of a team. And by the way, these golfers actually, someone would win the prize, the top prize, of course, but they would also have champions with the team event. So, we might see somebody like Dustin Johnson win one, and then Rory McIlroy's team actually wins the team portion of it. So it was a lot of fun, but the PGA has decided that what they want to do is give people more golf and less playing around. So they decided to go this route, and frankly, I'm a little sorry that they gave up on that.
yeah. I mean, it's always nice to see the other athletes in the different sports come out play this event. So I'm with you. It's disappointing. That's like half the field. Only 80 people this year.
Well, it was at at the Pro-Am that Bill Murray created the character that he used in Caddyshack. The guy who was basically out there playing, as a golfer who's doing his own play-by-play in his own head, going, basically, I'm, about to hit the ball. It goes 400 yards. It's exactly where it needs to go. So, I mean, it was a lot of fun for the crowd, and it was a lot of fun for even the golfers got a big kick out of it. But sometimes things change, and that's what they're doing. So this week, they're playing out there at Pebble, and they got what they call Crosby weather, which for reasons he basically must have gotten a bit of bad karma, because it's raining, it's windy, and it's playing probably more, since it's right there on the ocean, probably more like a British Open, like is being played at Carnoustie or Andrews, where you've got all the crosswind and all that rain, and your proximity to the ocean is pretty makes it pretty raw to go out there and see. But looking at least 3 days of rain out there, Is there specifically, we both enjoy golf. Is there specifically when you have when you begin to handicap a golf tournament? Obviously, the course makes a huge difference. But what about the weather factor?
Yeah, I mean the weather's always a factor for sure. Obviously,
Hmm.
the rain is going to make it more difficult. I find you got to be more careful. Obviously, with the rain, I mean power hitters do help out because obviously you're going to get
Hmm.
you get that wetness on the ball. It's not going
Hmm.
to roll as much. So
Hmm.
yeah, it helps when you got the guys that can drive 400 yards down the fairway that. They'll tend to get more distance, maybe have a better shot. But you also need good finesse game, right? It can really
Sure.
it can really affect the iron game, and specifically around the greens. Obviously, we know the sun can have such a big effect with the speeds of the green. Well, does the complete opposite with the rain. They slow right down, and even a course like Augusta that's known for just tapping the ball and it going like 90
Right.
feet in the U-turn.
Right.
Yeah, even a green like that would get heavily affected by the rain, and then you'd have to hit it a lot harder. And that's the thing when golfers, you practice on a course in the nice weather, and every green is different speeds. Really, it also depends on the course. So when you've practiced for a whole week at a course in a certain condition, and now you got to change that up because
Hmm.
I got to hit the ball a different weight on it near the greens, then yeah, it can really affect your short game specifically.
I'm far from a professional golfer, but growing up in Florida, rain was rain could happen at any time. And I remember playing one day in the rain. I had a ball in the bunker. I broke a sand wedge. I
Yeah.
must have hit under it too hard, so the ball flies out. But so does a clump of sand that is now like a sand ball that's going with the ball, and and the rest of the head of my club and everything else is going with it. So as I whacked under it, I didn't realize. I'm lucky I didn't break my wrist,
Yeah,
but
yeah, those are the worst. Actually, yeah, me and my buddies have a rule now because
mhm,
that's happened to us a few times. It obviously depends on the day. It has to
sure,
be
right,
a really wet day. But yeah, if
mhm,
you're in the bunker at this point and it's more like hitting off the cart path than it is out of the actual
right,
sand, then
right.
then we usually give a pass and just take it out of the bunker
Take a
because like
drop. Yeah.
you don't want to break $100 club too
No,
just to like what hit a shot because your asshole friend was like nope,
right.
you're hitting it out of the bunker. Like no, it's not
Take
gonna
a
happen.
penalty,
so
right? Yeah,
so yeah, if the conditions are that bad, I mean
mhm,
normally it wouldn't go well, but if you get caught in that
right,
yeah, if definitely after like, or if it rained the morning and you go out after it stops
sure.
raining, 100%, right? We kind of just like avoid the bunkers just because it damages the club, and then you end up having to hit the ball and you get this chunker where you just go like past the green and now you're on the other side of the fairway, or sorry, the other side of the green. You gotta you're not even on the green now. You got to grab your club and go chip from there, and it's just
Right.
it's a hassle.
Well, you go from playing, a 2.5, 3 hour round of golf to a 6 hour, round of golf where you leave in the morning and you come back at time for dinner. So yeah, you got to be careful with that.
And that's the
So
other
anyway,
thing, right?
go ahead.
It's miserable in that weather. You want to be
Yeah,
done quick, right? You tend to
yeah.
speed up the game. It's like let's go, no practice swings, just hit it and let's
I
go.
I've always like, if it was in 5 feet, we'd just go. It's a pick it up. All right, we'll give it to
Yeah,
you.
the gimme,
You know,
the good old
it,
gimme.
the old gimme got larger and longer whenever it was raining outside. It's like, okay, you're within that circle of 5 feet. Pick the damn thing up. We'll take it.
Yeah, then you get
Um,
to the ninth tee and you're like, do we just skip this one? Yeah, it's like the
right.
clubhouse
Let's
is
go.
calling.
It's right there. Burgers and a beer are right there. Just forget about it. Let's go to instead of the 19th, we'll go to the ninth, and go and have it. So anyway, it's afternoon and early evening golf, which is always fun to watch. So enjoy without Bill Murray including. By the way, the former mayor of Monterey, California, the one and only Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry himself, was the mayor at one point in Monterey, and so you know. By the way, Jim Nance, who will be calling this contest this weekend for CBS, has a house on the 17th fairway. at Pebble. So Jimmy's got a nice place to.
He'll be watching from the bedroom balcony.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure his wife would love him doing commentary from there, but yeah, he could definitely do that. He has a very cool tricked out golf cart. I'll have to see if I can find a picture and show folks. But yeah, Jim lives out there, and it's a pretty cool place. Anyway, let's move on. We were talking the other day that the Big Ten and the Big 12, because of amazing circumstances of how they're all jumbled with new teams coming around. And now the schedules are out, and let's take a quick look around the Big Ten first, and then we'll take a look at what's going on with the folks at the Big 12. They're projecting rivalries. Okay, this is how they start off. Projecting rivalries. Okay, here's your projected rivalries: Illinois, Northwestern. I get that. It's Chicago and it's Illinois. And Purdue. That one I don't get. Indiana and Purdue, same state. Okay, got it. Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, and Wisconsin. Really? Okay. Maryland. This is an easy one. Rutgers. That might be fair. Michigan. Is Michigan State, Ohio State? Well, duh. Okay, that was a big tough one. Michigan State, Michigan. Minnesota has Iowa, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Iowa, Northwestern, Illinois, Ohio State, Michigan. Oregon is Washington. Well, that was there before. Purdue is Illinois and Indiana. Rutgers, we already said, is Maryland. Okay, here's the toughies. Guess who USC's rivalry is?
Well, I would think UCLA would be.
There you go.
Hopefully.
All right, so then UCLA's rival would probably be USC. Washington's rival is Oregon, of course, and we already said Wisconsin. Rivals are Iowa and Minnesota. I'm not sure that the fan bases are buying into all those rivalries, but it is what it is. Let's cruise up, and who do you think are the top four? Let's just try to figure out top 5 teams coming into the 2024 season in the Big Ten, and we can look at their schedules.
Well, Ohio State number 1 because they always get everything handed at the beginning of the season. So gotta hand them the number 1 spot with Harbaugh gone now.
Well, here is Ohio State's first 5 games. Okay, I'm going to go way out on a limb and say they're going to be 5-4 after this. They open against Southern Miss. Then they have Western Michigan, followed by Marshall, followed by at Michigan State. So in the entire month of September, they only play 1 conference game, and it's against Michigan State. So I don't think they're going to lose many games out of those 5 starting off. Things begin to get interesting, okay, in October. October, they're at home to Iowa. Now, we all know Iowas have a great defense. I don't know if they can score any points. That's been their problem for years, so we'll see. But Iowa comes to play the Buckeyes at home. Here's where things start to get fun. Ohio State goes on the road to Eugene to play Oregon. That's on October the 12th. That should be a pretty good game.
Yeah, that'll be a very interesting game. At Autzen, too, is going to be we'll see what Dan Lanning has in store for them. This is his shot to finally, they felt they got snubbed from the playoffs despite having the 2 losses and needed to win the game, but this will be it. You win that game and the season looks very good all of a sudden in the Big Ten.
Then they are home to Nebraska on October 26th. November the 2nd, James Franklin, please beat them. They go to Happy Valley.
Purdue. Another road. That's 2 tough road games. Both
who would have thought, right?
Their tougher games are on the road. Yeah. So we'll see what this team is made of.
Purdue's next, and Purdue's given. It's funny. They don't beat them often, but they do give Ohio State grief for reasons I have no idea
But
why.
all home games are walkovers.
Yeah,
Like
here's
you've
I don't know
mentioned.
what I think Northwestern really had an improved team last year, improved enough to beat Ohio State. I don't think that's the case, but they were very much improved. So they're gonna play at Northwestern on the 16th of November. Then the 23rd, they got Indiana at home, and this year the Michigan game is in at home at the Horseshoe for the Buckeyes. They really don't play. That's a weak schedule, honestly. You got Oregon, Penn State, maybe Northwestern, obviously Michigan, but that doesn't look like a very tough schedule to me.
Yeah, those two games are going to be key, and the fact that they're on the
They are on the
road.
road, yeah.
If they lose those two games, then that's good. But if they win them, I mean, yeah, the rest of the games sound like walkovers.
Yeah, but the thing is here too, they only have they'll go to Oregon and then they come back to Nebraska, then they go to Penn State. So they're going to be being ping pong. They're going to go be out on the coast, come home, and then go out to Happy Valley. So their two toughest games, of course, leaving Michigan aside at the moment, um, look to be almost sandwiched in between one game with Nebraska, an improved Nebraska team. By the way, so. That's what you got going there. Oregon didn't help themselves by scheduling. This is a pretty interesting schedule. Now they open in Hawaii. That is one of the things where they're going to basically going to play Hawaii in what, in essence, is a bowl game out there. Um, they come home to play Idaho. Now Idaho has surprisingly the Vandals, one of my favorite names, has surprisingly been pretty decent over the past few years. I'm not saying they're going to beat Oregon, but I'm also saying that they're not necessarily a walkover team. You're going to beat them, but they can also give you grief. Then they get Texas Tech. I don't see the Red Raiders making any grief for Oregon. And Oregon then plays a team that's given them trouble in the past, and that's Boise State. So they get two Idaho teams in the first four games. And then their first trial in the conference is the opening game on September 28th, the opening game of their conference schedule, when they face in Los Angeles the Bruins of UCLA. In October, they take on Michigan State at home, Ohio State at home. We talked about that a little earlier. Purdue on the road, Illinois at home, Michigan on the road, Maryland at home, Wisconsin on the road, and Washington, of course, is always their final game of the season. That's a manageable schedule to me for Oregon.
Yeah, there's honestly that's not too daunting. There's
Mm-mm.
the one big game against Ohio State is at home, and then you got
Yeah,
to travel. But again, you're playing like the walkover teams of the Big Ten.
I am interested in seeing how things work out for Chip Kelly at UCLA. I have a feeling that Chip Kelly's team is going to be a great deal more improved than last year's team. I could be wrong 100%, but for some reason, I just feel Chip Kelly might have a sleeper out at UCLA.
Yeah,
But we'll
possibly. I mean,
see.
the defense was good last season, so
Yeah,
that's definitely something to build on.
Penn State has a toughie. They open against West Virginia, and West Virginia is a vastly improved team. Um, so, and that used to be a regular. I mean, Penn State and West Virginia used to play each other every year when they were both independents. And there's definitely some bad blood between the two. Plus, they're playing that game in Morgantown, so man, the moonshine will be rolling all day long in Morgantown. You might want to check with your buddy. That might be a game to go see.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to. We'll have to see if beginning of next season.
So then we go there. Bowling Green goes out to play them at Happy Valley, followed by Kent State, who travels to Happy Valley. Illinois gets them on September 28th, and that's again a home game. Their first game in the Big Ten is not until October. And that's when they play UCLA in Los Angeles. No, sorry. Let me get this straight. All right. October the 5th, UCLA is at Happy Valley. October the 12th, they are out in Los Angeles playing USC. So they take on the two Los Angeles area schools in back-to-back weeks. They're at Wisconsin on the 26th. Then Ohio State comes to play them at Happy Valley. We talked about that. Washington, they get after Ohio State. At Purdue, at Minnesota, and they close the season at Maryland. Actually, I'm thinking of what we've seen so far. That is a pretty challenging schedule for Penn State.
That is a challenging schedule, but once again, a lot of their tougher games tend to be at home, like the Ohio State, the UCLA, and I think you said Washington was at home as well.
Let me look right here. Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems it's a very challenging schedule, probably the most challenging one that you've mentioned so far. But yeah, I would say still a lot of home. All the tough matchups are at home.
This is true. I don't know. This is interesting, folks. Here we go. We're going to take UCLA Chip's team out. The second team to go, out to their own little bowl game in Hawaii is UCLA opens the season August 31st against Hawaii. They follow that up 2 weeks later when they return home to Pasadena to play Indiana. They are at LSU on September 21st. So that's going to be a challenge. They follow the LSU game 1 week later by playing Oregon back at Oregon. So they've got, I'm sorry, wait a minute. This is Pasadena. So in Pasadena, they get Oregon. But man, back to back, you got LSU. They're on the road at LSU. Then you come home to Oregon. Then you go to Penn State. That's 3 brutally tough teams right back to back to back.
Yeah, definitely another challenging one there. So we'll have to see. You think they're gonna have a bit of a sleeper team? So we'll see how
that they have to wake up for those 3.
Yeah, definitely gonna have to wake up for those. But we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting for sure.
They've got Minnesota at home on the 12th. They're at Rutgers on the 19th of November. They're at Nebraska. They're home to Iowa. They're at Washington on the 16th. On the 23rd, they play in Pasadena against USC, and they finish the season because remember USC is their the rival, but they can't, since they gave USC Notre Dame as the final game. They had to scramble. UCLA had to scramble to get a team to fill in, and they're ending the season against what might be a very scrappy Fresno State team.
So, I thought you were going to tell me they were getting a Pac-2 team to end the season. Just like, hey,
I think the bad blood in there is there a little too much for those guys any of them wanting to play each other, let alone see each other. Right now, they spent too much time in court against each other. So there's that. Here we got USC's schedule. USC is, as we said yesterday, in Vegas. They kick things off, so they don't start until September. So they get quite a while. They don't play any August games. So September 1 is LSU, and that game's being played in Vegas. They are home at the Coliseum to take on Utah State on the 7th. On the 21st, they're at the Big House. They open their campaign in the Big Ten against Michigan. You got to believe that's a primetime game, right? I mean, that's Michigan, Michigan and USC. I would think that's going to be a primetime game on NBC or something, because that's going to be one the Big Ten's going to want to truly highlight. September 28th, Wisconsin at home at Minnesota on the 5th of October. Penn State, we talked about that, October the 12th. They're at Maryland on the 19th. They're at Rutgers 2 weeks later. on the 26th, November 2nd. They're on the road to Washington. Nebraska is in LA on the 16th. They're across the road in Pasadena to check on UCLA on the 23rd. They close the season off at Notre Dame. They better damn well have a better team than they had last year, because that schedule is not going to work for them if they don't.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously they did play week 0 this season.
Yeah.
It didn't really work out for them because the offense was clicking from the start, but the defense just looked awful in every game, even despite their great start in the non-conference schedule. So
Mm-hmm.
that's got to be the key for them this year, especially after hiring the coach from North Dakota State. They definitely have to focus, or defense has to be a focus this season.
Washington opens against Weber State on August 31st, and over the holiday they play at they host Eastern Michigan. So there's 2 home games, one at Weber State, then Eastern Michigan. They follow that up with their opening game for the conference, which we said before is Northwestern. Rutgers is where they go for their second road contest. They're home to Michigan. They go to Iowa on the 12th of October. The 26th of October, they go to Indiana. They are home on November 2nd to USC. They're home. They're home at against UCLA on the 16th. On the 9th, which I accidentally skipped, they're at Happy Valley to play Penn State, and then they finish the season in Eugene against Oregon. There you go with that.
A lot of tough road games on that one.
Yeah, and again, I don't know what Wisconsin's going to be like at all. It could very well be a bit of a hodgepodge, a bit of a mess. Let's take a quick look. I think I skipped. I didn't give it. Did I give Michigan out?
No, I don't think we did. We did Michigan.
I didn't. Yeah, I was thinking same thing. All right, let me give you Michigan. Michigan hosts Fresno State. Okay. Fresno State gets double Big
These
Ten
guys
teams.
talk and they just oh, you're taking Fresno? Okay, I'll take them this week.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
UCLA's closing with them, so Michigan should open with them, right? So Michigan has got, on paper, a tougher schedule than most. They open against Fresno State at home. Then at home on the 7th, they have a Final Four rematch. This time it's Texas, so they have some fun there. So Texas comes to Ann Arbor. Arkansas State, not to be confused with Arkansas, is on the 14th. USC, we talked about them being there on the 21st. Minnesota comes to the Big House on the 28th, on October the 5th. Washington, they're out at Seattle. They come back to the Midwest 2 weeks later on October 19th, where they play out in Champaign against Illinois. They go back home to the Big House to take on Michigan State. They get Oregon at the Big House. They go to Indiana. They have Northwestern on the 23rd, and then they finish everything out with Ohio State on the 30th. So those are your contenders in the Big Ten. Any potential surprise teams? I mean, I think it's quite possible that UCLA is a surprise team with Chip Kelly. I don't want to say I think it's a down year for Michigan, but I'm not sure how the Harbaugh situation is going to rattle through that group, and losing their quarterback who goes to the pros is also not something to sneeze at either. That being said, Michigan always seems to find players, so we'll see how it plays out. But I think of the teams in the Big Ten, they may be the one that falls, a little bit this time around.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not really sure what this Michigan team is going to be without Harbaugh this season. And he's taken half the staff with them too.
Right.
So there's definitely a lot to chew on in Michigan. If I had to go with a surprise team, I mean, Ohio State looks like they're going to win it all, and their schedule is very easy. Other than the two tough road games, everything
Yeah.
else is very easy. So the one team I think could be a surprise is Oregon, because if they can,
Yeah.
they can beat Ohio State at home, then I think the conference that opens that, because I think Ohio State's probably going to be the team to beat in the Big Ten next season.
Hmm.
So I think that that opens up the conference definitely if Oregon can find a way to get that win early in the season.
If you remember a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, I think, Dan Lanning's first year, they went to Ohio State and beat them in the in the horseshoe. So they've proven that they can beat them on the road, and now they're getting them at home. So that should be fun to see how that goes. Normally, excuse me, normally Wisconsin fields a competitive team. I have no idea what Wisconsin's going to do this year. Not a clue.
Yeah, I
Or
know,
Iowa, for
Luke
that matter.
Fickell. Yeah, Iowa's another one just because of their offense, but shouldn't they're going to get Cade McNamara back, I guess,
Yeah, they are.
this season. So I mean, he's not great, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt because we didn't really get to see a full season. I mean, they
Right.
had to throw Deacon Hill in there, and they still got to 10 wins. So that should tell you a little something about the team. It's capable of winning. So I mean, Cade McNamara, he's not great, but he's definitely an upgrade over Deacon Hill. So
True.
hopefully. I know he didn't look great in his few games last season, but maybe he learns from that and has some improvement this year.
Yeah, Deacon Hill sounds like a country music star. So we'll have to see how he plays in the tough room. Okay, we're going to go on to the Big 12 now. You and I were very high on this Arizona team coming into the conference, and the funny thing happened: their coach got hired away to Washington. But I
And then
don't
their
think
players formed
right.
a transfer portal line outside of
Their own.
the
Yeah, it was like their own flight directly to from Tucson to Seattle. So they ran a shuttle. That being said, I don't think Arizona in this watered down. Okay, by the way, all of the comments on what I'm about to say about the watered down Big 12 can be addressed in the comments below. Okay, keep them polite. You can bash me, I don't care, but be nice. Okay, Arizona I still think Arizona's got a team that is going to cause some trouble in the conference. They open with New Mexico, then they get Northern Arizona, Kansas State. They're at Kansas State. Now, for some reason, and I don't understand this, it says here Arizona at Kansas State is a non-conference game. Did Kansas State leave the conference at one point?
I think they're just designating it as a
Oh,
non-conference game,
so they
so
can.
it won't
I
count
see.
towards the conference record.
I get it. Yeah. Or for that matter, it could have been scheduled a couple of years ago.
Because I think they're doing the same thing with because isn't I believe Army's joining the AAC
Oh, yeah.
with Navy, right? They're doing the same thing with the Army Navy game. They're designating it a non-conference game. So whenever they're going to play each other every year, but it's not going to. It's just going to be the classic. Yeah.
Game. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Okay.
But that is weird. I'm with you. That's a weird one. Just Kansas State, Arizona. Let's just have a non-conference game in there. Like, all right.
September 28th. They are at the team that you and I think is going to be the best team in the conference, and that's Utah. Then they go to Texas Tech. That's not the Red Raiders are not necessarily going to be that good this year. Baylor's going to be horrible, so they're making the trip over to Waco for that one. They then come home to what I don't know how to read Colorado. I have no idea what Colorado is going to be like. Maybe I still think they're going to be maybe a 6-win team, maybe.
I forgot about their existence, Jim.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much hype last year, and then
right.
Just
they're still there.
There's nothing, right? There's just you don't hear any
at the
talk
moment.
about it. But I mean, I hope Definitely they showed some improvement from the program
Hmm.
where it was at. So we'll see. We'll see what he can do.
Yeah.
I'm
Circle
optimistic.
circle this one on October 26th. West Virginia. They're kind of to me a dark horse in that conference. They may be the best non-pack team in that conference. We'll see.
They might be the new Arizona of the Big
Yeah,
12. Since
you're right.
I'm
That's
going
a
to
good point.
throw Arizona in the Michigan category, where
Okay.
we just don't know what they're going to be and
Right.
it's not like the Alabama situation where
Right.
Saban's handing off this dynasty team to the next
Right.
guy where everything's in place. Nah, it's like Jen Fish got there 3 years ago. He turned
Right.
the team around from 2-10 to 10-2, and, and
Right.
and all of a sudden now see you later.
And
So
add two zeros to his new contract.
yeah.
Um, I don't know what to make of BYU, so I don't think they're going to be much.
They'll always
November
be physical. They'll be
right,
competitive because they're physical.
true. November 2nd, they're at UCF. Forget that one. They lost. That's a win. Um, unless again Arizona's banged up in that because UCF doesn't have much this year at all. They take on Houston at home. Then they get take the trip to TCU, and then they finish the season against Arizona State. Um, if Jed Fish was coaching this team, that would be like the only game I'd be concerned about would be West Virginia. But he's not. And the players who played for him, many of whom are not going to be there either. So, we'll see. They got a nucleus. Do they have a good enough team? Don't know. We will find out. All right. Let's bolt over to I'm scrolling really quickly past the teams we don't care about because they're just not going to happen. Okay. Kansas. Kansas has played well the past 3 or 4 years. And the Jayhawks are going to play open against Lindenwood. I have no idea where that's at. It's probably an FBS school, you think? Anyway.
Lindenwood.
Yeah.
I know their basketball team.
Okay.
I do.
That's
I
good to
do
know.
know. I do. I think they're an FCS school.
Yeah. All right. So then they go on the road to Illinois on the September 7th. September the 14th, they're at home to take on UNLV. Then they take the trip out to Morgantown to face West Virginia. That's going to be a war. Excuse me. They return home to play TCU on the 28th. On the 5th of October, they're at Arizona State. Then they come home for Houston on the 19th. They play at Kansas State on the 26th. They play at home to Iowa State on the 9th. They are in Waco to play BYU. I'm sorry, not Waco. Ogden to play BYU on the 16th. Then they get Colorado on the 23rd, and they finish the season off at Baylor. Now, non-conference home games at Children's Park, Big 12 home games are at Arrowhead this year because Kansas is rebuilding their stadium, so they're playing all of their home games off campus for this season. A State is
They get the
also
Taylor Swift dome. Is that what you said?
they get the Taylor Swift dome.
Even though it's not a dome and Taylor Swift won't be at the college games.
Yeah, and the and it's red and white, not blue and white. So there's that. Kansas State again, they could be a player this in this Big 12. They open against UT Martin. Then they go September 7th. Trap game. They're playing at Tulane down in New Orleans. That's going to be fun. We'll see that. September 13th to 14th. That's the non-conference game we talked about earlier against Arizona. 21st, they're at BYU. 28th, they're at Oklahoma State. 12th, they're at Colorado. The 19th, they're at West Virginia. They're home on the 26th to Kansas. They're on the road at Houston on the November 2nd. November 16th, they're Arizona State. 23rd, Cincinnati comes to play in Manhattan, and then they finish the season off at Iowa State. It's odd to me. Okay, Kansas is their rival, but they finish on the road at Iowa State as opposed to finishing the season at Kansas. So, what do you think? Is Oklahoma a player in this scenario or not? I personally don't think so, but I'm certainly easily swayed.
Oklahoma
Yeah.
for
No,
the
no,
big.
Oklahoma State.
Oh, Oklahoma State. Yeah. They were playing
I'm not
better at the end
feeling
of
it
the.
with them.
They're another weird one where like they found their quarterback in the second half of the
Mm-hmm.
season, and then they had those few big wins, and then just completely fizzled out against Texas in the final. Whereas
Right.
I think a team like Kansas State probably has a better chance, just because obviously Kansas
Mm-hmm.
State has won the Big 12 championship in the last few
Right.
years, and obviously Texas won it last year in their final year, but Kansas State, almost beat them, and really,
Mm-hmm.
they could have extended that game, but
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was Chris Kleiman who said after the game, he said, Texas are one of the best teams in the country. I wanted to end it right there on the fourth down, right? Like I'm not kicking a field goal and playing another round, but that's how close Kansas State came. It was pretty much like a play away from upsetting Texas. And hey, if Texas has that second loss, they never get to the
Right.
Final Four, and maybe we see Florida State there instead. So that's just something to think about. Kansas State, they know how to win in the Big 12.
Yeah, they do. And the other thing is that that place they play at in Manhattan, Kansas, is just it's crazy. It's crazy loud. It is absolutely crazy loud. The people get there early. They love to watch football, and they are very good fans. So look out. Okay, that brings us to our team of destiny, the Utah Utes. This year, they don't have to hide that Cam Rising's not playing. They don't have to go week in and week out saying, "Well, we brought him out there. He didn't look that good, so we decided not to play him," knowing all along that he wasn't going to play anyway. So anyway, now we know Cam Rising is going to play. So there you go. They open their season on the 29th against Southern Utah. That's an interesting. That's definitely an FCS school, and so they'll be there. Get that one. Baylor comes, so they quick, man. They jump into their new conference. Now that's going to be, as you said before, it's a non-conference game because of the amount of teams the amount of games that you're supposed to play as conference games. They're at Utah State on the 14th. They're at Oklahoma State on the 22nd. They dip down to Arizona on the 28th. No, I'm sorry. They're home Arizona on the 28th. They dip down to Arizona State on October 11th or 12th. We don't know yet. Could be a Friday night game. Could be a Saturday. TCU visits them in Salt Lake on the 19th of October. Houston comes. They go to Houston on the 26th. They're home. Now here's the weird part about this. Okay, they play BYU on the 9th. That is the Holy War. It is possibly one of, if not the bitter, and I mean these people just do not like each other at all. Bitter rivalries. I find it odd that they're going to play that game on the 9th of November with 3 other games left to go in the season.
They just want to get it out of the way, Jim. They don't want it to be
In
the
case
final
somebody gets
game.
hurt, yeah.
They don't want it to be the final game of the season because there might be a brawl that goes all the way to the national championship. They'll still be trying to break it up while the two best teams in the country are duking it out.
Right. Good point. 16th, they're at Colorado. The 23rd, they're home to Iowa State, and they finish the season in Orlando, where they'll stay at Disney because it's a small world after all. And that's where they finish the season. I don't really see a lot of tough
That's a really good rivalry
scheduling.
game. Utah Central Florida. That's
Everybody, I don't know why people didn't know about it.
totally makes sense in my mind. Like that's the game we want to see the last week of the season.
Utah plays the entire schedule. They don't play Kansas. They don't play Kansas State. So
Yeah, they definitely have a bit of the
that's
weaker one.
a winnable schedule. That they could, if everything being equal, if Cam Rising has some supporting cast, you could be looking at an undefeated team.
Yeah, personally, I think they even if they had to play the two Kansases, I think
Mhm,
they would still be the team to beat in the Big 12 this season. And just look at what they did last year. You know, they were a very good team in the Pac-12.
mhm.
And their biggest problem was no offense, especially on the road. And that's not
Right.
going to be the case this year. We know Cam Rising's coming back. He's had a full
Mhm,
year now, basically to come back from that rehab. So it's
mhm,
not like is he's gonna unless he re-injures himself this season. But yeah, we've seen what he can do 2 years ago. We know how this offense works, and obviously we know how that defense carried the team last year. So yeah,
mhm,
I now that Jed Fish is gone from Arizona, I'm
mhm.
with you. Utah is the team to beat in this conference. Maybe West Virginia challenges them.
Mhm. I agree with you on all the points there. I was just pointing out that from a scheduling standpoint, they don't even have to play either one of the Kansas teams,
Yeah, I agree. It's a weak
which
schedule.
gives them, in my mind, a much clearer path to an undefeated season than if they might have to play those teams. Other than that, I still think they're. I don't. I don't think in that schedule, unless something jumps up there and bites them. That to me is going to be a road to potentially, well, definitely a playoff and potentially, an undefeated season. Let's finish off with the Mountaineers, and they open, as we said before earlier. They open in Morgantown against, August 31st against Penn State. They take on Albany, um, an FCS school, and that is going to take place on the 7th. Now, here's the fun part. Um, this is this is a bitter rivalry, and it's called the Backyard Brawl. It's Pitt and West Virginia, and they get together on the 14th of September. They then open conference play a week later on the 21st against Kansas. In October, they move on the 5th of October. They go to Oklahoma State. They go to Iowa State on the 12th. Kansas State on the 19th. They're at home. They're at home. Well, no, we don't know where they're going to be with that. I was just looking at November 8th, 9th. You get this one, November 7th, 8th, or 9th at Cincinnati. October 26th, we skipped that one. Arizona, they're on the road to playing them. Then they finish out with two of the last three games at home. Baylor at home, UCF at home, and then they're on the road to finish at Texas Tech. That's a very winnable schedule for West Virginia.
Yeah, definitely. And they should be improved this year. The only concern I have with West Virginia
Mm-hmm.
is that last year they were kind of playing with that chip on their shoulder. Like
Right.
everybody picked us to be last.
Mm-hmm.
Go F yourself. We're going to go out there and prove you wrong. Now they're getting respect, and it's just a matter of, does it get to their head? Do they come
Yeah.
out and play like they know they're good because they're getting that respect now?
Well, you
We'll
can't
see.
hide either. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Success, when you're successful in a program you're not supposed to be successful at, you can't hide from that. And that does cause a problem. It definitely causes a problem. So we'll see how that plays out. It's way early because, that's the way it is. But uh, I think it's possible. I don't see how the Big 12 gets more than two teams in the playoff, if that many. And it's a 12-team
Yeah,
playoff.
yeah.
I
I
can
think
just
just
feel
one probably.
I can just feel the Big Ten and the SEC sucking up every one of these extras, and with a sprinkling of the Big 12 and a sprinkling of the ACC in there, and maybe one or two, one American and maybe one Conference USA or something like that. This has got all the. I wish I had my tin hat for this one because this is me going totally off script. I just think that they'll figure out a way to get they'll get 4 or 5 teams. It's like the NCAA basketball term. They're going to get teams in there that probably don't deserve to be there, but they're going to be there anyway.
Yeah, and it's gonna still suck really because there should be the conference champion. In my opinion, every conference champion should make it.
Yeah.
Even if you're the Sun Belt champion, the MAC champion, it doesn't matter. You won your conference, and you should get a chance.
Well, in theory, the first round's going to be played on the higher seeded team's home field. At least that's how it plays out now for the 12th tournament game, the start of it. And then they begin to ratchet things to a point where they play, they start to play off campus. So there'll be some off campus stuff going on as well, but not for a while. So I don't know. I just think that if you looked at this last season, right? If we took the 10, I think we did take the 12 teams that were the best teams, in the AP poll. I think what we had like four SEC, four Pac 12 teams, and three teams from the Big Ten, and then one or two teams that from the Big 12, but they're not there anymore. So that's what we had, and there may be the conspiracy theory, like you and I just talked about, of them figuring out a way to get everybody in, but there's going to be some fun. We get the 12 school, and then the 13th school is going to be mad because they didn't get in, but that's the joy of this.
And then one day we'll have the 64 team football bracket.
Well, Chip Kelly said, why don't they do that now? He said, play less games, play just conference games, and then the conference champions, and the seed it just like you seed the NCAA tournament.
Not a terrible idea.
No, he said, we got enough teams to do it. Let's just do it, because let's win it on the field. Let's not let's not have this invitational, as you like to call it. So
absolutely.
Okay, before we get to the most important part of the show, which is about Amedeus's, folks that are going to he's going to tell you how to make some money on them. Taylor Swift update, and that is something that I didn't actually know, but I found out, and that is you cannot physically bet on whether or not Taylor Swift is going to be in the stadium at the time when the game is. In other words, it's going to be at Super Bowl, attending Super Bowl. Physically, you can't, and the reason being is in the state of Nevada, you cannot bet on something that is not decided on the field or on the whether it's on the football field or the playing, the baseball diamond or basketball court or like that. It has to be decided on the court. They allow the bets like the Gatorade bet and all that, but again, still that coin toss, all that, because that's on the field. Now, surprisingly, and this is where I got it, it was they're debating in Canada as to whether or not to allow. Again, they have the same kind of prop bets, so they're wondering if they're going to. The wagering companies in Canada are deciding whether or not they will be able to put that on their prop bets as well.
Well,
because
I can
the
tell
reason
you
being
for
they can actually, that's something that a person could affect, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if Taylor Swift if the odds were 10-1 that she's not coming, she could put down $1 million on it and not show up.
Yeah, exactly. But I can tell you for a fact that Canada, sportsbooks in Canada, are definitely offering this as a prop. Will Travis Kelce propose to Taylor Swift on the field after winning the Super Bowl?
Well, see, there's an on the field.
Yeah, but that is an actual prop you can bet on.
What is, by the way, just out of curiosity, what's the odds?
It opened at -250 for no.
Yeah.
And it got steamed so hard it's minus like 2,500 or something like that. So
to the no.
Yeah. So it opened as like it honestly it opened like minus 250 for something like that is
Right.
not bad, right? That's
Right.
250
That's
down to make
reasonable.
100.
Yeah.
That that's
That would have been a bet I might have made.
and the fact that it got steamed so quickly, so people obviously don't think it's going to happen. A lot of people, maybe think it's a sham the way we were talking about it at the beginning of the
Mhm.
season. But we'll see, right? Who knows? Maybe the Chiefs win the Super Bowl and she's on the bus with the Chiefs and Kelsey. We'll see.
There is such a crazy thing here in the United States with the right-wing people absolutely obsessed with how Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce at the Super Bowl is going to be rigged. They're going to win, and then right after the game is over, they're going to endorse Joe Biden for president.
Look,
This
if
is an
if
honest to
this
God
if
thing going on here.
if the Super Bowl's gonna be rigged, there's going to be multiple factors into it, and a lot of it is going to focus on money. A lot
Sure.
of it is going to focus on the money angle. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I have no comment on that specifically. I don't
Well, that's
really.
a. It was more of a just a this just in situation. Um, the thing that to me, so the Niners started off as what was it, 2-3 points, and now
Yeah, two and a half.
all the money's back in Kansas City, right?
Yeah, so it moved. There was a lot of early money on Kansas
So
City, and it moved it down to -1. But actually, it's come back a bit. It's around -1.5 to -2 again for
so
the
we
49ers.
got a few Niners points in there.
Yeah, and I did see there was it's circulating that they had their first $1 million bet already placed, and it was on the 49ers. So,
Hmm.
but what I'm hearing is there's 5 times as many bets on the Chiefs as there is on the 49ers. So
Well, they need to find out if Max is coming to Vegas to fly his plane in and bring some cash and move the line even more. Um,
yeah.
he's a Houston guy, so I'm not sure he's too into it. But anyway, more importantly, where can everybody find your great predictions and what's going on with you today and tonight?
Yeah, make sure you check out my premium picks at bigal.com, pickadvisor.com, and theinsidersroom.com. The links are in the description below. Coming off a nice 6-2 day, had a winning day in every sport, 2-0 in the Premier League,
Wow.
1-0 in NBA, and 3-2 in college basketball. I only have the 3 college basketball plays up today, but we did cash the free play with Marquette that I mentioned the other
Mhm.
day, and also I'm coming off a nice win with my AAC game of the month, which Jim, you'll be happy to know exactly who it's on. South Florida was a 2.5 dog in East Carolina last night, and
But
whew,
I'm fine.
that was a mistake. They just don't learn with this South Florida team.
I was a little concerned. East Carolina is a tough place to play. Um, anything at
East
East Carolina.
Carolina is trash.
Yeah, I know that, but that doesn't mean that they can't actually, they find a way to. It was kind of funny. Evidently, one of the starters from USF when at halftime, when they when they left the locker room, had accidentally locked himself in the bathroom on the way and couldn't figure it out. Pounded on the door, and the manager, who just happened to have to go back to get some basketballs, hears this pounding on the door. He opens the door and he's like, "Where have you been?" He goes, "I'm right here. I got to go to the court." So they literally were looking for the kid for 5 or 6 minutes there just before the half started. And all of a sudden, here he is. He got still locked in the bathroom. So that one, you talk about self-inflicted wounds. That one happened by pure, not knowing how to handle a lock, I guess.
Yeah,
So
gotta learn the layout of the stadium a little bit better.
right,
Come with a map next time.
right, or do what the kid from New Mexico State did, and that's run out to the football stadium and take care of business and then come back. So anyway, all right. Yes, I'm very happy that was it, and I'm very pleased that South Florida came through for you. What was the line on the game?
They were a 2.5 point underdog.
Okay, well, That
They
you
they
won that one
destroyed him.
outright. They were up by 20 some points at halftime.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean.
So
They don't learn with this team. I'm telling you, Jim. You're just the hopeful, optimistic. But I'm telling you, this is a good team,
well,
and
you're the expert.
that bracketology we did is totally wrong. They got to have South Florida in there.
Well, a week from yesterday, uh, they call it the Y. It's the Yingling Center, which is, of course, is a beer here in the United States. The Yingling Center is going to host USF in Charlotte next Wednesday at home. They're going out to North Texas on Saturday to take on the Mean Green, and that's out in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex if you happen to be in the neighborhood. And so North Texas and South Florida taking on each other on Saturday, and then Charlotte in the big game with them on a week from yesterday. So that's if you are interested, that's you can follow it. All right, my friends. Tomorrow, I we know that people are going to watch these skill competitions and Pro Bowl-esque deals, but I'm not so sure that there's going to be a lot of wagering on it.
Yeah, I won't be myself. Also, pretty dumb that they put the Pro Bowl and the NHL All Star same weekend. Just saying, you know, nobody's going to watch your game anyway. Probably doesn't help to split the audience up like that. But yeah, you know me, Jim. I've made it very clear many times that I think we should get rid of the All Star break in every sport. So I won't be wagering. I won't be watching it for sure.
I don't mind a break, you know, um, but I'm not. I don't know. I don't think I've watched an NBA or an NHL All-Star game, and I damn sure haven't watched a Pro Bowl game in over a decade. I mean, it's just like, why? And now
Yeah.
it's even gotten me. I used to watch the skill competition a lot because it used to be entertaining. It's not even that anymore. How many boys can you dunk a basketball? I mean, it is what it is. Honestly, I still find the 3-point shooting contest probably the most entertaining of the bunch.
Yeah, well, they're trying to spice it up this year with Curry and Ionescu. So
Well, yeah, I mean, they basically that was basically an Adam Silver calling their agents and going, guys, you got to help us get some numbers here. So come and play, we beg you. So that's the way it goes. But yeah, I don't understand the NHL. I mean, the NBA makes sense because you're doing it after the Super Bowl. Why wouldn't you have done the NHL? I would have done the All-Star game right around sometime during the holidays,
look, the
because
only
there's some
answer I
space
have for
there.
you, the
Go
only
ahead. I'm
answer
sorry.
I have is the NHL commissioner is a clown.
My friend Gary Bedman. Okay, Gary has lasted longer than I think any commissioner in sports at
Yeah,
this
yeah,
point.
but I don't
I'm
know.
not saying I'm not saying he's done a great job.
He's
I'm saying he's
expanding the NHL market in one area, and he's letting it die in another area. And there's the common misconception that, oh well, Canadians are always going to watch hockey. I don't know a single person that watches hockey anymore. And it doesn't help when a Canadian team hasn't won the Stanley Cup in 30
in a
years or
while.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let me ask you one quick question before we leave, because you live in the area. Could Hamilton support for instance, the Coyotes if they wanted to move them to Hamilton? So if the answer to the first question is yes, then is it that Toronto doesn't want a second team close to them?
Yeah, actually, Hamilton almost got an NHL team way, we're talking about almost 50 plus years ago, and the Leafs were the one that put the kibosh on it because too close in geographic. But absolutely, if Hamilton were to get an NHL team, they could probably sell out the same size stadium as any hockey team in the league. But the Leafs won't allow it.
Well,
They
there
think
you
it
go.
cuts into their fan base when they're just going to hate the Leafs more.
Anyway. I thought the Jets made a good move when they moved back to to Winnipeg, having built that arena that only was seated about 14 or 15,000, because then you can actually have a sold out arena for pretty much every game, and the tickets and everything become much more manageable.
Yeah,
So
it's very
I thought that was
small,
a good move. Yeah.
intimate rink.
Well, they actually, it was the same way at the Barclays Center, and for some reason, Islanders fans got pissed off and didn't like it, and so they built a new stadium, a new arena up in up where the up where I'm trying to think, Aqueduct, where they race horses, on the very top end of the island. So yeah, there's technically on Long Island, but nowhere near where they used to be out on the island. But no, interesting, because the Panthers. I mean, there have been games where the Panthers have trouble breaking 2,000 in attendance. So,
Yeah.
when you force teams into areas
Look,
where nobody pays attention.
he's convinced to make it work in Arizona. They've said multiple times, we don't have the fan base, we don't want the team, and he wants to. He's forcing it there, and like, you wonder why I call him a clown, because he is one.
Well, I mean, they're not building them a new arena, are they?
I don't think so. Arizona doesn't want the team. I don't think they will approve the arena. They want to relocate it, and Bettman's refusing to relocate the team because he's convinced there's a market in Arizona when there isn't, and that's why he's a clown. That factors into it, why I think he's a huge clown.
Well, I thought, I mean, at the end of the day, it boils down to your ownership and your attendance. If you're not making those, because basketball and hockey require, I mean, and to some extent baseball as well, their TV contracts are certainly large, but not large enough to sustain having less than 5 or 10,000 people at a game. I mean, they have to have it. And I know the thing in Phoenix, Bob Thompson, a friend of mine who was consulting down there on this, they desperately wanted to have an arena where both teams could play, but the Coyotes said no. They didn't want that. They wanted their own arena. It's like, well, you're not the number one team in town.
Nobody watches.
It goes the Cardinals, then it goes the Diamondbacks, then it goes, well, sometimes it's the Suns, then the Diamondbacks. And then there are people who wonder who the Coyotes are, and they live out there. So, to your point. Anyway, all right. Don't forget, Amedeus' stuff's in the show box below. And we'll be back tomorrow, and we'll have some fun stuff to talk about. Maybe we'll sneak a little bit of hockey in there just for grins and giggles about these upcoming skill sessions and such. And we'll get ready to rock and roll. By the way, there's a Senior Bowl this weekend too. So it might be the best. One last quick thing on this, we can maybe talk about more tomorrow. It might be the best actual group of college football players who've played in the Senior Bowl in years. I mean, you got Michael Penix, you got Bo Nix, you got a bunch of guys all playing in the bowl, and we haven't had that in the Senior Bowl in a long, long time. Yeah, so some quality players. That one might be interesting to watch, because they do have rules where you can't blitz the quarterbacks. They don't want any of these guys to get hurt because they haven't signed a contract yet. So that's this also happens to be their first paycheck that you're going to get as professional football players. So probably much less than the NIL money, but it is what it is. All right. So we'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Have a good day. For Amedeus, I'm Jim. Take care.